I'll say it in a standpoint like this. I understand when you look at the rankings, when a one seed loses to a 16 seed, or a 2 seed loses to a 14. I understand that. I understand when you're talking about rankings that, Illinois losing to a Loyola Chicago was an upset. Now, I will also be the first one to say that if you watch my episode when I did the men's bracket, I picked Illinois to make it to the championship and ultimately win. I know I've been talking about Gonzaga this entire year, but I just wanted to go on a limb. I saw what I saw from Illinois in the conference championship, and it was hard for me to not pick them, even though I should have gone with my first pick, because Gonzaga's looking crazy right now. Like, Gonzaga looks unstoppable. But that's not why we're here. All year, I've been saying college basketball has been down. All year, I've been saying that either the top is getting closer to the bottom or the bottom is getting closer to the top. And when you look at the talent-wise, yes, you still have, the Kentuckys, you still have North Carolinas, you still have Dukes, and they're going to hold a prestige, like their name holds prestige. However, when you're looking at the talent on the floor, and I don't know what it is, I don't know if it's the pandemic, I don't know, this, last year and this year, there's a record number of athletes hitting the transport, what the world? Hitting the transfer portal. I don't know if it's just the talent. I don't know. But if you look at, let's just look at two teams. Now, again, before we go, Gonzaga is not a part of this, okay? When you look, it would behoove me to look at Gonzaga and be like, oh, well, they're on the same class as blank. Like, no. What I'm seeing from Gonzaga right now, and honestly, what I've seen from Gonzaga all year, they're on a class of their own. If they don't win the national championship this year, I think it's going to be one of the biggest upsets ever. Like, I kind of remember when Anthony Davis won the national championship for Kentucky. If they would have lost, because they were just dominant all around, if they would have lost before or lost in the national championship, it would have been something crazy. Or when Kentucky had Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, the Harrison twins, and they lost, that was a huge upset. But if Gonzaga loses, I don't see it happening. And we'll talk about that in a second. But when you look at the talent that, let's just go with Oral Roberts. Look at the talent that Oral Roberts has, and look at the talent that let's look at Virginia. Virginia has tall players, of course. So does Oral Roberts. Virginia has scores. Oral Roberts has the leading scorer in college basketball. I don't know. It's Virginia's well coached. Oral Roberts is well coached. They have NBA-type players, while Oral Roberts doesn't have as many. Again, they have the leading scorer in college basketball. He can definitely make some noise in the NBA. The talent level is starting to get, the talent gap is starting to close. So when we say upsets, I don't look at it as much as upset. I look at it as much as, except for, Illinois losing to, Loyola Chicago. That was an upset. But I just see the talent level from the bottom team, or the teams that we would consider the bottom, and the teams that we would consider the top, to start. They're starting to even out. Like, we can't look at Abilene State and be like, or Abilene Christian, I'm sorry, and look at Texas and be like, well, that's a huge upset. While it was an upset in the rankings, Abilene Christian has really good players, and so does Texas. But it's like, we're so bent on the rankings, and we're so bent on the number, like, oh, he has a number 5, so he should definitely beat a number 12. Even though if you look, Loyola Chicago has the same amount of talent as most of the people in the conference. And it's, again, I'm not saying that teams aren't better. Clearly, I'm not saying that. But when you look at Iowa, now I understand what happened with VCU and their game getting canceled, so Oregon has an automatic bid up. But you can't tell me that there's a huge discrepancy between the talent that was on Iowa and the talent that was on Oregon. Like even though, and the Pac-12 is killing it. By the way, the Pac-12 has like what 4 teams in the tournament right now, or 9 or something like that. Like and even though the score was just out of control, you can't tell me that the talent that Kansas had this year is so much worse than the talent that was on USC. So what I'm saying is, we're talking about upsets, and we're talking about, we're fine. At least this year. I'm not saying that it won't change. I'm not saying that the Blue Bloods won't come back and just be what they usually are. I'm not saying that this is the norm, but at least for this year, we're getting parity. And it's not like outside of one team, maybe 2, you know who's going to win. I mean, you don't know who's going to win going in. And that's because the talent gap is starting to close. So when you look at Iowa losing to a Loyola Chicago, you're like, wow, Iowa should have just destroyed them. I mean, no, Illinois should have just destroyed them. No, they shouldn't have. Loyola Chicago, even though they're AC, they have the talent and they have upperclassmen. And that's a lot of things we're seeing this year also. A lot of the teams that are winning have upperclassmen, have a lot of juniors or a lot of seniors. So again, I'm enjoying March Madness, and it's even on the women's side. Now, the women's side is a little different. The women's side, all the favorites, outside of maybe 1 or 2, all the favorites are winning. Now, we can talk about what happened with Texas A&M, on Sunday, but all the favorites are winning. All the teams that are supposed to be good are dominating, like Kentucky. I'm not Kentucky. UConn's great. Baylor destroying people. Stanford just beat somebody by like damn near 50. So did South Carolina. The women's side, there ain't no parity. If your number is above the other number, you gonna win. But it's just on the men's side. And I've been saying this. And this one reason why I said that I think you're going to get more excitement from the women, especially if you're not a fan of parity. Because a lot of people say that they're a fan of parity until you look at college football and you see Alabama's always at the top, or Auburn's always at the top, or LSU, or Clemson. Like and they're still getting some of the most ratings in the league. I mean, in television. So people that say they love parity, yet they don't watch if their team or if the top team's not in there, it kind of questions, do you really like parity or not? But like I said, man, college basketball, it was down this year. And I'm not saying that to say that March Madness has not been exciting, because it's been exciting watching Oral Roberts, be a Cinderella story. It's exciting watching Loyola Chicago make it to the Sweet 16. It's exciting, even though my North Carolina got destroyed by Wisconsin. It's exciting to see, not knowing who's going to win and just watching 2 pretty even teams, even though the numbers or the rankings don't really say that. Watching 2 teams go up against each other, and it's fun to watch. Now, I said we'll talk about it in a second, but at this point, there's no parity, in my opinion, when it comes to who is the best team in the country when it comes to men's college basketball, and that is